Pawn Stars has finally reached its lowest point after controlling reality TV for over 10 years. At the age of 59, Rick Harrison confirms the validity of his son's life sentence by revealing the reason of his death and the events surrounding it. There are other members of the Pawn Stars show who have also been involved in scandals. Discover the controversies that have dogged this cherished sitcom, ranging from Chumlee's run-ins with the authorities to Rick Harrison's notorious legal disputes with his mother. The History Channel debuted the reality series Pawn Stars in 2009, and it immediately became quite popular. The program follows the daily operations of a gold and silver dealing pawn shop in Las Vegas. Due to the popularity of the show, the store and its owners became well known throughout the world. Left-field celebrities Brent Montgomery and Colby Gaines came up with the idea for the show while visiting Sin City in 2008. They decided to make a sitcom on a family-run business because of the city's plethora of pawn shops. After this, the gold and silver pawn store was operated by Richard Oldman Harrison, his son Rick, and Corey Big Hoss Harrison. They shared ownership of the pawn store until Richard's death in 2018. The gold and silver pawn store on the show was a hit with viewers. Additionally, it showcased the distinctive items that patrons brought in for the store owners to evaluate. In the beginning, the shop focused on buying and selling precious metals. Thanks to founder Richard Harrison's decades of experience and no-nonsense approach, the shop gained recognition in the pawn industry. His candor and sharp humor would appeal to viewers of the reality show. When Rich Harrison first appeared, his business acumen was the main attraction. He had learned from his father that the pawn store was more than a transactional business. It was also about the customer's experiences because some of the products that were shown had stories attached to them. Pawn Stars became well known very fast after its 2009 History Channel debut. Rick, George, and George Jr., Richard Harrison's three sons, continued the family name and music after his death in 2018. Pawn Stars distinguished itself from typical reality TV series by showcasing the shop's unique items and their fascinating backstories, which ranged from Civil War antiques and historical coins to celebrity memorabilia and antique weaponry. The popularity of the show was largely attributed to Rick Harrison's extraordinary knowledge of gold, silver, and collectibles. His ability to dissect the value and significance of various artifacts made him the intellectual center of the program. He was a successful negotiator because of his brains and charm. The other cast members were largely responsible for the show's amazing success. There were occasional cameos by the Harrison boys, Richard, Rick, and Rick's three sons. Jake and Adam did, however, occasionally show up as well. The Harrison family was thrust into the spotlight by the show's explosive climb to stardom, which drew millions of viewers. There are segments that instruct viewers about family dynamics, erratic customer interactions, and historical artifacts. As Pawn Stars gained popularity, gold and silver pawn shop experienced a sharp increase in business. Due to the popularity and success of the show, spin-offs, products, and international recognition followed. Visitors from all over the world have been swarming to the gold and silver pawn store to see the pawn shop transactions and get a glimpse of the reality stars. With the aid of their acting skills and sound business judgment, the Harrisons turned a small pawn shop into an empire and became cultural celebrities. One of Rick Harrison's sons, Adam Harrison, has had a very complicated existence. At the age of 59, Rick Harrison reveals the awful truth by confirming his son's life sentence. His son's premature death took an unexpected turn when it was revealed that he had previously served time in prison. According to a police report, authorities in Vegas responded to a complaint regarding an unresponsive subject on Friday. The person in question was Rick's son, Adam. When the responding police arrived, they confirmed Adam's death. His previous incidents were soon revealed. Before the authorities discovered it, Adam apparently lived in the guest house on the property. He had just been released from prison after serving a 3-month sentence. Although the reason for his imprisonment is still unknown, the landlord is said to have offered him the guest house out of compassion. The police also questioned those who had been staying with Adam. Every time they attempted to get in touch with Adam, he claimed to be ill and under quarantine, and they found out that he had been missing from the main house for a while. But the roommates knocked on Adam Harrison's door for days in an attempt to catch his attention, but to no avail. They opened the lawsuit and found out about the landlord's death when they eventually got around to getting in touch with him. Adam had only been on the farm for about 2 weeks, but his behavior was strange and erratic. Adam had been in jail 4 months prior to this. After being released from prison, he often sequestered himself in his tiny guest house, which is odd coming from the son of a reality show star. People thought he had been imprisoned for 3 months on accusations related to, and his housemates thought the same. According to rumors, Adam Harrison, the son of pawn singer Rick Harrison, passed away following a period of mental instability and irrationality. He was reported to the police for his disruptive behavior by his neighbor, who occupied an RV next to the main and guest buildings, including locking himself in the house and pushing furniture up against the doors. She asserted that he frequently spoke without mental clarity and logical thinking. She also said that when he found out someone had a girlfriend, he slapped himself in the face. She had cautioned him against beating himself, so he did so instead of his new boyfriend. Adam, the son of Rick Harrison, died from a fentanyl overdose. He was found a few weeks after his death. He had a history of substance misuse and was a regular user of alcohol, opioids, and fentanyl. The police found lighters, drug straws, a foil container with an unidentified tablet, and 2 vials of an unknown substance next to his bed. Rick revealed the true cause of his son's death in his statements over his demise. Was brought on by a fentanyl overdose. He blamed it on the American border situation. Yes, I think Adam died from a fentanyl addiction, he wrote on Twitter. We need to take this nation's fentanyl problem far more seriously. It appears that nothing is being done to stop it from just flowing across the boundaries. We must do better. The Clark County Office of the Coroner Medical Examiner subsequently confirmed Adam Harrison's cause of death on his behalf, according to the Times. Toxic effects of fentanyl and methamphetamine were determined to be the official cause of death. His death occurred at the age of 39. You will always be in my heart, he said in another post lamenting the loss of his kid. Adam, here I am, loving you. His son was a regular on social media despite receiving very little screen time on the long-running reality show. The drug overdose death of Adam Harrison is only one of many in the U.S. The destruction wreaked by narcotics was evident in 2023, when overdose facilities topped 112,000 for the first time. Looks like the crack cocaine epidemic of the 80s and the opioid catastrophe of the aughts all over again. Schedule II prohibited narcotic fentanyl is like morphine but 100 times stronger, says the Drug Enforcement Agency. Is potentially fatal for individuals of a certain size. In 2018, Richard Harrison, the one who started Pawn Stars All, went away. Their company was entangled in numerous court battles and family betrayals 4 years later. Adam Harrison's death in 2024 profoundly affected Rick Harrison's life thereafter. Family assets and the ownership of the gold and silver pawn shop were the subject of a lawsuit filed against him in February 2022 by Richard Harrison's wife, Joan Harrison, who was also Rick's mother. The case was brought before the Nevada State Court. The pawn shop was Joanne's 51% ownership stake. And she said her son Rick had coerced her into signing the paperwork while she was in a coma. Additionally, she claimed that her son had cut off all payments to her regarding her portion of the company. She further asserted that Rick had cut her business ownership without her knowledge or permission and prevented her from accessing the family trust. Regarding a $3 million loan that was secured with part of her assets, she asserted that Rick concealed this information from her. She was seeking an accounting of assets, damages, which were not mentioned, and a court order prohibiting Rick from utilizing her cash throughout the legal struggle. To prevent Rick from liquidating the family's assets, she sought a temporary restraining order. To add insult to injury, Joanne claimed in her court documents that Rick had withheld financial records for assets over $500,000, which only served to heighten her suspicions. Additionally, she asserted that in 2020, Rick stopped paying her the $225,000 yearly that she was due as a shareholder and an heir to the family fortune. The burden on finances and the alleged concealment of information deepened the divide, turning personal complaints into a public family quarrel. As a rebuttal, Rick claimed that his mother was being pressured by someone. According to him, he has made numerous attempts to contact his mother over the past few months, but to no avail. Their renowned pawn enterprise had its flaws exposed when Rick's father passed away. Betrayal and acrimonious legal battles plagued the family after the patriarch's death. Financial and ownership responsibilities inside the family business are causing friction. All of this hurt Pawn Stars and Rick's behavior, despite his public denials. Case studies like this one show how trust issues can arise when family, fame, and business all come together. The legal disputes offered a sharp contrast to the show's long-running portrayal of the Harrisons as a tight-knit family striving to save their business, something fans of the show had come to expect. The COVID-19 pandemic was another obstacle that Rick Harrison had to overcome. The pawn store that dealt in gold and silver was much like any other business that faced difficulties because of the global epidemic. The History Channel's program popularized it. It used to be a successful business that made over $1 million a year. In 2020, the store's income was a meager $37,746. The pawn shop had one of its worst times during the time. Pawn Stars star and owner Rick Harrison was candid about the difficulties his business had during the outbreak. The pawn shop's clientele diminished as fewer tourists ventured to Las Vegas, a city that was highly dependent on tourism. The store, which is usually a hive of activity with people interested in its history and pop culture displays, fell into an eerie silence. Another aspect that diminished the store's allure on television, the variety of one-of-a-kind things brought in for sale or pawn, was the absence of face-to-face encounters. Money was tight at the pawn store. During the pandemic, Rick and I saw some interesting patterns. A spike in customers eager to purchase things was seen by him despite the economic concerns. According to Harrison, the government stimulus funds are one reason why people are spending so much money. As a result of inflation and the flood of government aid, a strange dynamic emerged: people were both careful and eager to spend on rare or collectible objects. An incredibly disturbing incident occurred when a client entered the store offering to sell a bundle of human heads. He turned down the sale despite the fact that it would have made for good conversation in a later episode of his show. The store and its customers endured great hardship as a result of these strange occurrences, which were prevalent throughout the epidemic. He brought up the economic downturn of 2008 when discussing the pandemic. A full year passed before his show made its debut. He tried to convince investors and porn stars for 4 years, but nobody was interested. One even questioned whether anyone would watch 4 overweight men at a pawn shop. But once it premiered, the show exploded in popularity compared to other reality shows and became a global phenomenon. Rick Harrison is embroiled in a number of scandals, including the deaths of family members and disputes over property. Austin Chumlee Russell is a major character on the program, alongside Rick Harrison and his sons. But his legal troubles have damaged the show and the audience's perception of him on screen, so it's not all good. While he plays it cool and eccentric on TV, his real life is full with brawls and police raids. He was taken into custody after a violent brawl in Hollywood in 2012. The incident's specifics remained under wraps, and it was far from severe. However, this had already prompted some to question his conduct. His legal problems had escalated significantly by 2016. An investigation into claims led to the raid of his Las Vegas residence. While authorities did not discover any salt, they did discover numerous items that may lead to an arrest, such as firearms that had not been registered, traces of cocaine, and a large quantity of marijuana and methamphetamine. There may have been further charges against him in addition to the 1 for felony weapon and the 19 for drug possession. As a result, Lee chose to avoid jail time by entering into a plea deal. The firearms charge and the misdemeanor drug possession charge were both dropped when he entered a guilty plea. Probation and required counseling were still requirements. He expressed regret and contrition for his behavior in a public apology. Even after all this time, the reality program was severely damaged by the controversy, and a large number of spectators were eager to witness his on-screen trajectory. While some viewers rallied behind him, praising his sincere personality, others were opposed, citing past indiscretions. The show's creators eventually came clean about their intention to keep Chumlee on the show. They gave him the green light to come back to the show, and he settled back into his pawn shop job as he attempted to repair his reputation. Even Rick Harrison's other son, Corey, who was frequently on the show, had his share of scandals, just like Chumlee. The cause of death was revealed to be an overdose by Rick Harrison, who verified his son's life sentence at the age of 59. However, he appears to struggle not just with grieving the loss of one son but also with preventing his second son from getting into trouble. When compared to Rick's other sons, Corey appears on the show more frequently. A lot of bad press has been around him recently because of his misbehavior in public. His many controversies are a testament to his smart commercial acumen and magnetism on stage, as well as his behavior, which has on occasion put him in a sticky situation. While on a motorbike tour, engaged in a number of disruptive actions that stood out. His public urination incident and subsequent bar brawl led to his expulsion from the establishment. Many people were worried about his behavior after the incident, which brought him a lot of bad press. Yet another dispute arose. While renting an RV, became involved in a legal battle. Corey was sued for damage and breach of contract because, according to the RV's owner, he did not return it in a satisfactory state. He was already under intense scrutiny for his actions before this legal struggle intensified them. After his blunders became public knowledge, Corey admitted that he had second thoughts. He acknowledged that his behavior had a negative effect on his career and personal reputation and issued a public apology. He claims that he is now actively trying to make progress. The occurrences did, however, lead many to doubt his expertise and behavior. Corey, who has a checkered past, is nonetheless an integral part of the Pawn Stars crew and works as an assistant to his father. Despite the fact that some of his detractors continue to highlight his flaws, he is staying on the program and getting over these scandals. Following the passing of original creator Richard Harrison, several scandals engulfed the Pawn Stars program. Rick Harrison's son was taken away by fentanyl while he was involved in a court dispute with his own mother. Plus, Corey, another son of Chumlee's, was involved in other episodes of wrongdoing, and he himself is facing drug and weapon charges. In addition to these, Johnny Jimenez Jr., another expert on the show, was jailed for domestic assault during an argument with his girlfriend. He allegedly dragged his inebriated girlfriend to the floor during their altercation. The show's prominence, however, caused it to spark a stunning scandal. In May 2012, a crippled Vietnam veteran had also sued Rick and Richard, Rick's father. The individual asserted that in the autumn of 2011, he had been brutalized by the father and son team at their pawn store for precious metals. He went to court, claiming they had assaulted him. Another controversy that contributed to the Pawn Stars show's downfall was his accusation that they dragged him through the store while holding him in a chokehold. Olivia Black, who appeared in just 13 episodes, was another cast member to get caught up in a scandal. When old images of her with Suicide Girls started making the rounds online, the producers decided to fire her from the show. No one may have explicit photos of themselves shared on the internet, according to Pawn Stars policy. Despite her departure from the show, she remains employed at the shop. At one point, it was a reality TV sensation and a prosperous family business. However, the pawn shop's credibility has taken a hit due to scandals, legal troubles, and internal conflicts. New threats to Rick's enterprise threaten to eclipse his own legacy. Regarding Rick Harrison's scandals, what is your opinion? Post your opinions down here. Please return another time. We appreciate you tuning in.